Welcome everyone to another hopefully fun video. This of course is our G5, nearly top of the line, nearly as an only single socket and dual 2 GHz. The only faster single socket was 2.3 GHz and then of course the 2.5 GHz quad core. The quad core I intentionally didn't want due to the water cooling, but also certainly the price. Now, you saw in an earlier video when I disassembled it a little bit, I was surprised that the second socket was not even populated. Of course, not very nice of Apple. I wanted to try upgrading the CPU already a decade ago. I even ordered one on eBay in USA, sent it to a friend, but it never arrived there. So thankfully I got the money back there. Whatever happens there with the US postal stuff, I certainly never received this CPU there at my friend's. As you can see, I finally found one. It wasn't the very highest priority. This is supposedly a 2.5 GHz one from a quad core. Of course, not really the recommended packaging here, not really anti-static, I guess. So, yeah. As usual with the eBay stuff, you never know, does it work, does it not, and then it is packaged like this. So yeah, thanks for negotiating the price down. As usually they wanted more than I find reasonable. So being a shrewd negotiator, especially on this vintage eBay stuff, I negotiated down quite a bit, but yeah, let's hope it better works. And I think it should work. However, we need to disassemble the whole heatsink assembly there. Yeah, there's one screw. Anyway, so this needs to come off because as far as I know, this doesn't fit in there. So stay tuned for this fun little ride. So of course this is neither supported nor did it exist, so this would really make a top of the line single socket anyway, unless a quad core, which again not only is it water cooled but certainly consumes quite some energy too. Forgot from the last and only time I looked into it that this is a pin in a pin, so I was already scratching around there too much when actually the center pin needs to come out. Really a little bit annoying construction as per Apple's usual. And you may ask, why do I do this now? Not only do this kind of things become more rare to find and more expensive, so I don't want to do it in 10 years when everything is even more expensive, but we are also building maybe Firefox and such for the PS3, and so some 25% faster CPUs here would certainly be nice for such kind of things. And yeah, this is by the way the most annoying fragile security pin thing ever, which of course the first time I already scratched around there, now the whole bloody plastic pin is already getting broken. Yeah, not too cool, this pin. I would not be surprised if Apple had their authorized technicians always put in a new one. There's a few times they serviced something like that, but yeah, anyway, something like that. And then of course we have at least a little bit practice from the last time to actually get this nice piece of aluminum out of there. Oh, actually some dust to wipe. Anyway, so because the heatsink here is different from the all-in-one water block thing, this here is some heat pipe to the side. We fully need to disassemble this and manufacture this on this here and then hope that it better works. So there are quite some, is this hopefully hex? Let's hope mine are long enough here. Yeah, looks like hex 3 maybe. It's a little bit difficult to get in there though with that little space there. So huge yet so uncomfortable to service, and this was okay-ish to get loose. Yeah, maybe you want other tools for that though. Was this also to come out here? Maybe actually this way you get a little bit extra space. Super clever. Also, got a little bit more space, so these screws are supposed to be retained, hopefully, maybe, yeah. You need to be super careful though, always best made with someone else, because I guess you want, not really sure how easy it can fall out here, but that your precious G5 falls on the floor. Actually, wait a second, no, they come loose. Maybe only on the quad they are secured. Oops, these two also hold it, maybe. Only live here on YouTube. Not sure, looks maybe like these are, so maybe only mechanical guidance pins actually. Of course the finest machined mechanical guidance pins, I guess. Does it hold so good in the CPU socket? Of course it does, I guess. Pull straight up. Carefully, requires some effort. So when you do it the second time, it's always easier. Until then, maybe rocking it a little bit. I should have known that there are extra screws here and here, so much to trusting scrolling through iFixit and others. Thanks for mentioning that. Maybe the quad core doesn't have this too. But yeah, also this is already extra long, but yeah, there's 1 centimeter missing. Thank you, Apple, for always doing the special stuff. It's not even for sure that I go out in Berlin to some construction store and I find that long here anyway, so yeah, you will not believe, am I so lucky? Just wanted to go here to some construction store, and of course in the set the larger ones are slightly longer, so that yeah, maybe one bigger, 1 centimeter. Maybe this even really works. So I mean, this is here on the last millimeter, as you see. It got loose. Wow, are we lucky today here. Yeah, also don't just pull randomly if something doesn't come out. I try to be careful. If it would not have been written there, it needs some force, and probably would have pulled slightly less. But it was the same with the Mac Pro when I wanted some years ago upgrade the CPUs. There was also just one thing missing, one screw very hidden. So always be careful, do not just pull excessively. So let's see if that, here that is better. Leads a little bit force my ass. Stupid internet tutorials. Slightly hanging somewhere though. Wherever that would be. Oh no, it's loose. Should have disassembled there the power connector already. Also there's an inbox here. So you wanna do that first if you repeat this at home. Only on a Mac, the 4 square millimeter or so power lines connected with a hex screw here. And as you can see there, the unpopulated slot, I mentioned this as a video, otherwise looks pretty populated, and then people on Reddit told me no, this costs $5 something, $5 my ass. This is, yeah, even not really sure if all this circuitry would be needed, but it is fully populated. The only thing, no, but actually I don't really see anything else missing. So yeah, so much, thank you very much Apple for taking the dual socket upgrade option away from users for not really a couple of cents reason. Then ironically they even have the second power connector, they're just not. So yeah, if someone has a socket and want to try soldering the socket there. Would be interested to know if that works. So let's see if they would fit. And then we disassemble all this fun. Looks like it should maybe supposedly fit. And yeah, so this heat pipe goes out at the side and this one there for this all-in-one water cooling setup. Okay, that is good that we got this off with also this thermal pad there, in case you need this or 2.3 GHz G5, let me know. Maybe some iPhone tools to the rescue. A little bit too thick though, if you wondered why sometimes I use my fingernails. Certainly don't want to use a knife or other sharp metal tools to damage the PCB or something like that. So, maybe this eBay one is really a spare part, because mine that was running for quite some time, this quite sort of more disintegrated here, but thermal pad stuff. Anyway, this was a real pain to get off and certainly makes keeping this as a second spare part not as nice. So yeah, not super amazing, but at least finally it is off. Where was this even? Maybe like something like that, I guess. Anyway, yeah, not amazing, but at least our new one, maybe this really was an unused replacement part then. Yeah, also by the way, I think this is here only for cooling the VRMs on the back side. So interesting setup, as you see here on this one, cooling this from there. 100 watts or something plus minus. So then the CPU, let's hope that is getting off slightly better. As you see, quite some effort, and maybe you wanna think whether you wanna repeat this at home. Certainly not for every Apple user here, this kind of swap. So, some thermal compound, actually not too bad applied, I would say, exceptionally for Apple. And yeah, the new one completely clean. Maybe this is really an entirely unused spare part. Interesting stuff. And this sure looks like it should fit. Actually, well, no, it's not an unused part, because here you see these connectors were already used. So there are some minimal signs of wear. So that is just well cleaned. Yeah, the VRMs are also a little bit dusted. Anyway. So let's clean that and get it back together. So then maybe some better stuff, but certainly not a paid advertisement. Yeah, I know there is a spreading thing, but I hope this way I do not waste as much, because the spreading thing you can't close, so I'm not really sure, but maybe let's spread it a little. There's it. I'm not really sure if I like the spreading thing that much more. This is exactly why I usually don't use it. Now we have it here gluing on that, but nah, somehow not really convinced. So now everything in reverse and keeping our fingers crossed that it actually works. This of course like that. Here in this plastic guides. Slightly wonder why is this plastic standing out so much. One problem is of course that you need to fully assemble all the mechanical stuff here before you can actually test this, which as you have seen is a little bit of effort. So it's not like open bench plugging it in and seeing the results. Was it in there like that? Sure hope so. There's already some dust crumb on this fancy connector there. Certainly don't want to damage that or have dust in there. So these two were probably power, which screws? We have these small ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I hope these belonged here. Also I'm slightly wondering. Plastic stands out some millimeters, so whatever probably. Yeah, you can never watch out for too many details while disassembling it. When you reassemble, then always some questions like these. Also maybe this was meant like this, as this is spliced and cruise presses plastic out, so probably that's how it's supposed to be. I only better hope that works, otherwise it would be a little bit much work for nothing. Doing everything again and having wasted money on eBay. So, more screws. So let's plug it back in. So then there's these two guides. How to feel that this is in the processor socket, I have no idea though. So then the other screws here, as you see, probably a bit excessive. Don't forget your power. Maybe I should have cleaned them though. Certainly with 100 watts there should not be any resistance, dirt. Fan assembly. It always this Apple plastic pieces that sometimes a little bit stubborn to get back into there. Never make enough notes how this stuff fits together. It's of course a bit unfortunate that you don't see so much and cannot run it a little bit more. What's this there? Oh, the joy of these Apple parts. Anyway, if it works, I probably have to figure out the 100% proper assembly way here with the snap-in pieces and everything. It actually fits quite nicely. It was just loose without the cover, so that is actually looking quite good, I guess. It's nearly as good as new. Fan assembly, and then let's hope that it doesn't burn up in flames. So let's switch it on and hope for the best. Something is... Startup sound playing. Do we also get video? Also helps to plug in the video cable. Actually, always amazing stuff for the YouTube channel. Of course, we should ideally calibrate the fan. There is no other input. Why not? How many DVI cables would I have here? We have grub, so somehow we don't have USB keyboard for some reason, but whatever. But we have here, it's on the video, my grub test install. Can we also boot? I hope that just boots, not that I need to edit it without keyboard, whatever is with the USB keyboard. Or does it not? Oh, no, it finally auto boots. Okay. That is very clever. Full disk encryption without working USB. Let's see if a fresh boot fixes that. Not sure how early I plugged it in. There's a feeling there's a CD-ROM in. Slightly wonder where's our... There's our... Maybe it wasn't on the... Now we have keyboard, whatever was the first time. So yeah, I would probably not recommend this to do at home. There's probably for those, well, even for someone as dumb as me who forgot 2 screws there, just like in the Mac Pro, always the hidden screws, amazing stuff. But probably not to, well, recommend it. Maybe if you have already relatively good repair DIY skills or don't mind destroying this. Otherwise, yeah, maybe a little bit too expensive in case something goes wrong, but maybe you get something for free. But anyway, don't destroy these nice machines, although they are not as fast as modern machines. Certainly still not to be destroyed by this kind of 25% performance upgrades. Let's take a look on CPU info. And certainly run a benchmark later too. Probably should still have the same OpenBench reference result from the last time. Also, yeah, company standard issue full disk encryption nowadays. Yeah, I'm certainly very relieved that this work would have been, well, not the CPU as it. I negotiated it down to 30 or so euro, but the whole Mac destroying that would certainly be not very nice. Not really sure about the clock though, what it said before, because this does say clock. Is this clock or time base? Okay, that appears to be the base clock there. The Linux kernel is indeed saying processor frequency 2500. Actually, now that I think about this, back in the day when this was new, 2005, this was a relatively early revision and not doing NAP, some power saving feature there. So maybe this was earlier disabled. It could actually mean some power savings if that is the case. There you have it. I need to find the benchmark, and at least this works. Also, don't forget to run the Apple diagnostic stuff to calibrate the fans. Maybe we do this in another live stream sometime soon. So there actually was OpenBench hiding. So then let's run that and hope that it is some 25% or so faster with the increased base clock. That actually explains why the performance scaling is so good here, and I hope also it's stable. If I find something in the next days or weeks, I keep you updated. To no one's surprise, the fans are already quite in high hyperventilation mode there, but they have also done this before at 2 GHz already. And I found here the CPU info that we've seen earlier that is actually correct, just that it was, of course, CPU scaling there. Now we have, when it's compiling, 2.5 GHz up from 1, and also here the CPU frequency levels as indicated. So this is already built. Only the first benchmark there is slightly off due to Caching, of course, here's the first quite slower loading all the stuff. Actually, I'm not really sure. I might not even have an SSD in there right now. Oh no, this is an SSD then. Yeah, anyway, this old serial 80A bus is not the super very fastest here on the second run now without this caching there. First time twice as long due to that inefficiencies from back in the day. Serial 80A, especially here with a relatively far away chipset and whatnot there to the PCIe bus, not the very lowest low latency. Let's generate the graphs, and actually we can look already, peek in there. Let's take a look. So build time 42, size is identical, so the same compiler, and runtime 60 from 67. This is where I usually use Lua. Yeah, at least some 11% or something of that sort. Do we have something else? Maybe set standard. Slightly less than I expected, 62, 72 runtime. Yeah, that is a more whopping nearly 14%. Anyway, I was hoping for a little bit more, but anyway, this kind of PowerPC stuff. Not the most expensive update. I'm very thankful that it worked at all and didn't break anything, not the logic board and anything of that sort. And again, don't forget to calibrate your fans, certainly. At least the BZIP2 benchmark is nearly 20% faster, so yeah, not too bad.